Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rangers Review. It is Thursday, the 20th of March. Apologies, we're slightly late, folks, sorting a few things out here at my humble abode. But as you all know, I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How's it going, Chris?
Not too bad. It's nice and sunny up here in Scotland today. Is it nice down where you are?
It is absolutely glorious down here. Yep, spring has arrived for sure. And yep, it's time to get the old sun cream back on again. That is the only downside, of course, for the big bright thing to pop up in the sky. But hey ho. But yeah, lots of stuff to discuss today. Great piece on the website this morning from your good self, Chris, on Andrew Cavenagh. I'd urge you to go and check it out, folks. It is a very good read indeed. We'll touch on that shortly and other Rangers news that is doing the rounds. Before we do that, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to S1 Jobs and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. So start your search today. Just seen a comment that came in there, flash up, but certainly just tickled me there. If you want to get your comments in, folks, you know the drill by now. You have to be a subscriber to the channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And let's get this show on the road. Right, we'll touch on the Andrew Cavenagh piece to begin with, Chris. We've seen him at the previous few Rangers games, and there's no doubt about it, he'll have been impressed by what he has witnessed, certainly at Ibrox and also at Parkhead on Sunday. For those that haven't quite read the piece just yet, can you just give us a little intimation as what they can find in there?
If you haven't read it already, why not? You've had more than enough time. Run the website for almost 3 hours now. You've had more than enough time. But no, it's really just a bit more of a look at Andrew Cavenagh in terms of his business background, a bit more of what he's like, a bit of insight into what he's made of the Rangers matches that he's been at over the last couple of weeks, and a bit of update on takeover state of play and potentially where things are heading. I know the takeover story feels like a transfer story now, or feels like a transfer window. It's one of these people just eager for updates, eager for anything, eager for any bit of insight or news. So hopefully we've managed to provide a bit of insight in that piece. If you haven't read it, there's a bit of detail on Andrew Cavenagh and his actual his fondness for football. Like, he's not a guy that has just suddenly woke up one morning and thinking, I'm going to go and buy a Rangers football club. He's a long-term fan of the game. He played in his college days. He was a promising goalkeeper by all accounts back in the day. And he seems to have impressed with his knowledge of the game and has a real passion for the game. So it feels like Rangers will be his outlet for that. And as you mentioned there, having been at the Fenerbahce game last week and then been at the Old Firm game, if you're a fan of football, not necessarily a Rangers fan, if you're a fan of football, you have to appreciate those two matches in terms of performances and the occasions and everything that went into them. If you're potentially the guy that's going to be buying Rangers Football Club, they must give you such a buzz and such an insight into this is what I'm potentially buying into. You look at the full house at Ibrox last week, the atmosphere, the emotion, the celebrations at the end. You then go to Parkhead and you get a bit of insight into what the Old Firm game means as well. So he's seen Ibrox in some darker days. He was obviously there for the match against St Johnstone, where there was the protests and the walkout from the Union Bears. So he's seen the bad times this season. Recently, he's seen some of the good times, and as that piece kind of outlines, talks and negotiations and the process still very much ongoing for Andrew Cavenagh and Parag Marat of 49ers to become the new power brokers, if you like, at Ibrox.
I'm very much excited by this. I'm sure many are as well about what the future could entail for Rangers. Interestingly as well, I mean, a player from yesteryear played for Bolton and many other clubs, Greta Steinson, is involved as well. There's the technical director, isn't he, for the 49ers Enterprises, Chris? I wonder what sort of, he's been at the matches as well. I wonder what sort of role he's going to be have when the takeover nears completion and is finally carried out.
He was moved from his role at Leeds into a role within the wider 49ers set up just a few months ago, and that move was not designed with buying Rangers in mind, but it was designed with giving them a bit more of an insight into football and other clubs that they could potentially move into. I know Parag Marat spoke a couple of weeks ago, didn't mention Rangers by name in terms of, yes, we're interested, but I think a lot of the things that he spoke about pointed to what they could potentially do with Rangers, and Steinson will clearly play a big part in that. He has experience, also, as you mentioned, playing the game. He's now developed this new career for himself as a technical director, sporting director, and he will certainly be advising Cavenagh and Marat and others as this takeover nears completion, and as Rangers then enter a new era. It's one, we know there'll need to be a sporting director, we know there'll need to be a manager appointed, we know there's going to be a lot of players signed over the course of the summer as well, and I think having as much football experience and as many opinions can only be a good thing. I know Josh has been working on a Steinson piece over the last couple of weeks, looking a bit more at him, and as far as I know, that's going to be on the website over the next couple of days. So I can give my own piece a big shout out and give my own piece a plug. And I can also give you a wee teaser for a potential piece that's coming on the site in the next couple of days as well.
Yeah, he was a decent player back in his day. Certainly well liked down Bolton way as Greta Steinson. So certainly knows a lot about the game. Intriguing to see what is going to unfold at Ibrox. Certainly, I think it's quite exciting, Chris, we've got to say. We've never had this sort of takeover in the background. I know the result at the weekend was good. I know Fenerbahce was good, but it's good having this in the background, isn't it, for supporters to look forward to? Because at the end of the day, domestically, it's not been good enough for a number of years now. So it's important these new owners come in and get Rangers back on a bit of an even footing with Celtic, and let's see the team challenging for titles again.
It's certainly given the fan base a real shot in the arm. It's given them something to look forward to heading into the end of the season, and certainly given them something to look forward to heading into next season. I think we've seen this keep growing. These calls for change. Or the Union Bears had banners up several games. There was that walkout that I mentioned earlier on. We see it. I've seen it on the show. We see it on social media. We hear about it in Rangers fans that we speak to and other people that we speak to. So we have a real kind of sense of the mood of the support. The support were looking for change. They believe that substantial change at boardroom level and in the investor model was the only way that was going to really take Rangers forward. That has now happened, as we've outlined on the site the last couple of weeks. These talks ongoing since October. I think the phrase that Dave King used was kissing many frogs as he went out to try to find investors that could potentially come in and take Rangers forward. Dave sees this deal as his legacy. He sees this is my parting gift, if you like, to the Rangers fans. He's more than done his bit over the last 10 years or so. And now he sees this as handing it on to the next custodians of the club. Of course, he's not the only one that's going to sell. I've outlined that on the site in the last couple of weeks, but we've seen the interaction on the shows that we've done on the takeover, the interaction and the numbers on any articles that we've written or anything that we've spoken about. It's been great. People have really kind of bought into it. Hopefully, people are appreciating and enjoying the coverage. And I think we see that it's only going to continue to snowball. By the time there is a sporting director, you'll then get You then get a manager, you'll then get players. All these kind of small milestones will continue to be reached over the next couple of months, and it certainly gives the club and the support a real boost heading into a new season on the back of which, as you say, has been another largely disappointing one.
Yeah, the content on the website's top drawer, and we've still got that offer on at the moment, folks. £1 for 6 months worth of access to the Rangers Review. It really is fantastic value. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. Right, let's talk about other news that is hitting the headlines, and it's fair to say it's split some of the fan base, Chris. Now, Rangers released a strongly worded statement yesterday. Because they have been charged by UEFA for a Union Bears statement and other misdemeanours, throwing objects during the Fenerbahce match, blocking of passageways, and pyro as well. Now, Rangers have released a lengthy statement. I'm not going to read it all, folks, but they blasted the Union Bears for unveiling a banner in the second half of the match against Fenerbahce last Thursday, which read, "Keep woke foreign ideologies out, defend Europe." So Rangers have now confirmed that they've been charged by the governing body over the fan display, and it's understood that Rangers officials don't yet know the scale of what that punishment may be, but they branded it frankly embarrassing in what was a stinging statement towards the Rangers fans group, and they also said that they demanded any fan who does not believe the club is welcome to everyone, they should disassociate yourself with the club immediately. They're not messing about there, Rangers, Chris. What did you make of the statement?
It was certainly a strong statement. There's been a number of. I don't think there's probably a football club out there that has put out more statements than Rangers have over the years. We do like a statement on the website, but that was a really strong stance for the club to take. And as you said there, it has certainly split opinion. Been really interesting kind of watching some of the opinion and some of the debates on social media and online over the last not quite 24 hours, but since that statement came out yesterday. It certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons. I think you have to say that. If anyone is in any doubt about where the club stand on certain fan behaviours, about where they stand on banners or pyro or songs, that should take any debate out of it. I think the club have made their position very, very clear on it, and they are now waiting to see what UEFA do in terms of sanctions and punishments, because ultimately the club can put out as many statements as they like. They can try and engage with supporters as much as they want. It's UEFA's ball at the end of the day, and when they decide that you're going to be punished for X, Y, and Z, there is very little the club can do about it. So I think they will maybe see this as an early one to try and take some of the sting out of the punishment. Maybe they can then make representation to UEFA and say we're trying our best. We've made our position clear. Don't come down as hard on us. But I think the tone of that statement suggests that Rangers are perhaps fearing the worst here.
Yep. I hope, in terms of sanctions, I hope it's maybe a suspended thing that you see teams getting. But Rangers not messing about with regards to this. An interesting point that came in from Robert. He said, "Good morning, Derek and Chris from Vegas, baby." Not jealous in the slightest, Robert, but he says, "Do you think recent reaction to the banners was influenced by a likely takeover?" Potentially. I guess it's not something that they would want to have seen Rangers being hit with by Europeans football governing body, but it may very well be. I can't imagine they'll look too kindly on the banners, I guess, Chris, and this punishment as well.
I don't know if it would be a case of being influenced or not, but the American consortium, they will certainly be aware of it. No, they will have they'll be taking in every bit of Rangers news that they can at present. They're also trying to get a bit more of a feel for the club, and they'll be trying to understand some of the nuances of the Rangers support as well. So they're on a very steep learning curve at present. They've got a lot to learn in a fairly short space of time. They will have to. I said that there's a lot on the table, not obviously just from a business sense and a football sense. There's a lot football political wise that they'll have to learn as well. They will need to get their heads around relationships with Scottish Government, with the SFA, with the SPFL, and with UEFA. You want to try and have as much influence with all of these bodies as you possibly can, and finding yourselves in UEFA's crosshairs for things like this is perhaps not the best way to be going about it. So I think they will certainly be aware of what's unfolding. But I think, as I mentioned there, the club have made their position very, very clear on this now.
Yep, I touched on Pyro as well. In that statement, folks, they said that lastly, despite the clear warnings to the contrary, pyrotechnics were used by 2 individuals following Sunday's Old Firm victory at Parkhead. This runs the risk of an additional 800 of our supporters being unable to attend a match in the latter stages of the Premier Sports Cup at Hampden, in addition to the 500 that will already miss out as a result of the use of pyrotechnics. So, so they're having a go at 2 fans at Parkhead on Sunday. They've made it clear their stance on pyro as well. So, you can go and read that statement in full, folks, over on the Rangers Review website. But even in the comments on this video, a lot of supporters not happy with the Rangers statement. Some are. It certainly split the fan base, that's for sure. We'll move on to other news. Of course, it is international break. The players are all away representing their countries. We touched on Václav Cerny yesterday, Chris, when I was on with Stevie. We spoke about him on Tuesday morning as well, about the likelihood of him staying. He has come out and said he definitely wants to stay at Rangers next season, which I guess is a good thing. There was maybe a little bit of doubt, because when he was asked about this before in press conferences, he gave the old stock answer, as loan players normally do. I'm not going to address it until the summer, but this is sort of a clear indication that he would like to remain at Ibrox, which I would be all for.
It's obviously a fairly major part of that particular battle, isn't it? Now, yeah. If you have a player that's happy to continue, that certainly gives you a better footing when you then start your negotiations with the parent club in this regard. But I think, as I outlined the other day there, his form domestically has been good. His form in European terms will certainly attract other suitors. I think we've seen that with other players before. You can be very, very good in Scottish Premiership terms, but it's what you do at that higher level, it's what you do in the big European games that is really going to convince people that you're worth investing in. I mentioned Tillman and Sima when we were on the show the other day there. I fear this could be the same. Could be the same scenario, and Rangers may well miss out on Cerny. But the fact that he seems happy here, he seems settled here, he's also now playing for a manager that didn't sign him, which again I think says a lot about how he feels within the club and the city and the dressing room. It's not a case of, well, the man that signed me is no longer here. I'm going down tools. I'll get to the end of the season, and then I'll be off ski. So I think it's certainly a positive that he's happy. But I think as we touched on the other day, there are a number of factors in play, and Rangers may find themselves not quite able to get that one over the line. That's if the new sporting director and if the new manager feel that Cerny, at age and wage and everything else that's on the table, if they feel it's a deal that's worth pursuing, I think Rangers will definitely pursue it. Still, I think it's still too early to tell how likely it is that Cerny will be a Rangers player or not next season.
Yep. Staying with Cerny, and you would have seen, folks, Rangers auction off match-worn shirts with the company Match-Worn Shirts. I think that they split the proceeds between the club and the company after every game. Now, this is not just Rangers that do this. Other clubs across the UK do it as well. And you may have seen Cerny's jersey is just surpassed. Someone's bid just over £24,000 for, as Brian says, and many others have seen it in the comments as well, over 24 grand for Vaslav's shirt. I don't even think it's the shirt that he was wearing at the time, but this Watergate situation has grown, I was going to say arms and legs, but I was trying to find a water analogy. It is crazy, Chris, but 24 grand for a Rangers jersey, that is bonkers.
It's going to go very nicely on the wall behind me once Johnny signs off my expenses next week. No, it's quite something. I've obviously seen these shirts come up for sale online over a couple of seasons that Rangers have been doing it, and you often wonder why MD would buy one. There's been ones bought from games that have completely not exactly happy memories from a Rangers perspective, and people still go in and chip in. They also still want to have their weekly part of the club and part of history, I feel like. I can't remember seeing one get to this level. It's quite something. So I hope whoever ends up winning that particular auction, I hope they enjoy it, I hope they savour it. And you'd like to think that the club might be able to do something and get Václav to sign it for them and perhaps personalise it for them, because it's a remarkable amount of money to be paying for a shirt. Yes, it was Sunday was a great day for Rangers supporters, but in terms of like historic days for this club, it's not quite up there, I wouldn't have thought. So fair play to whoever's got that disposable income to go and put that into a football shirt.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the most expensive Rangers jersey that's been auctioned off. You'd imagine it would have been a 1972 Cup Winners' Cup final jersey. Let us know in the comments, folks, if you know of what has been the most expensive. I'd imagine the Cerny jersey would be close, if not the most expensive. And remember, there's still a few days left to go, I think, on this, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to reach ridiculous levels, but quite incredible stuff. Just on a side note, Cy Leslie, big fan of the show, a big fan of Cy as well, and what he does. He says another thing that is wrong with the club, selling match-worn jerseys to the rich. It's disgusting, he says. As I mentioned, that loads of clubs do this across the UK. They auction off the jerseys afterwards. I would like to see certainly this Cerny jersey touched on there. I think the proceeds are split between the company and the club. Surely, if that jersey is sold and the money comes in, the money can be used at Rangers' side, at least to the charity foundation or something like that. In fact, I would like to see any shirt that's auctioned off. Surely Rangers can do that. I'd imagine that they would sort of earmark a percentage of the fee. I'm not entirely sure where the funds go, Chris, but that would be a nice touch if they do that.
Like you, Derek, I'm not sure exactly how that deal works in terms of the percentage that Rangers get and where that then gets filtered back into also the big pot of money that Rangers spend every year. And like you, I would hope that they can maybe do something quite unique and nice with that money. In the grand scheme of things, 24 grand doesn't make a huge difference to Rangers. Obviously, it pays a first-team player wages for a week, but the person that's paying that type of money is a huge sum, as we said there, and it could make a big difference to the charity foundation or one of their partners. So hopefully something can be done like that. And as I mentioned there, you'd imagine it shouldn't be that difficult to get Václav to sign it or to personalise it. So interested to see what the club do, but also interesting to know what do they actually make over the course of a season on that. So it's not for me. There's not. I don't have that kind of disposable income. I can say I'm going to go and put 4 figures into a shirt, but it'd be interesting to know what it must be financially beneficial to the club, or they wouldn't do it. But
it's an income after every game.
It'd be interesting to know what they actually make over the course of a season. I think it probably surprised people how much they actually make over the course of a season.
Yep. Yeah, sure will. I've actually bought one Rangers jersey off the auction. I've said this on a video before. It was who was it again? It was Hamid Namuchi's jersey from Rangers 1-1 draw away to FC Port. It was actually auctioned off by a firm over in California, but the Porto player Diego Costa, no, not that one, but he is a guy who swapped shirts with Hamid Namuchi that night, and he was auctioning off his jerseys, his collection of jerseys. And as soon as I seen it, I put in a bid. 50 quid I put in, and nobody else bid, to my delight. So I got it for an absolute bargain. So it's taken pride of place in the Clark household as Hamid Namuchi's jersey. I think I actually wore it once on the video, but don't know. Should I get a Hamid Namuchi shirt framed? I'm not entirely sure that would qualify for getting framed. I've also got Philippe Clement, a Jeremy Clement shirt that he wore against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. I think Rangers got beat as well. So that's another one that I've not got round to framing. I don't think I ever will. Any jerseys though, Chris? Any famous jerseys there in your blue room behind you?
I was just about to check my phone to see if I had a number for Hamid Namuchi there, to see if I can post it out to whatever part of the world he's in and get him to sign it for you. That would that's my task for today. Track down Hamid Namuchi for a big interview and a signing session. I don't think he's not been snapped up by 5 stars yet, as far as I'm aware, for a signing session. So you may have to wait. Shirts though, just the two that are the ones I've got on the back there, are the 150th anniversary one, the 55 one, and the one in the middle, if I move my head that way a wee bit, is the Barca 72 one. Yeah, that was one that the club actually released easily 10 years or so ago. Maybe I've had that one for a while, and it's framed by the club. It's got a plaque and it's signed by all the Barca 72 squad. So that one takes pride of place. Ironically, you can't actually see it behind my head, but that's probably the one that's the most valuable one.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Fantastic. Right, let's move on. Nadim Bajrami's away with Albania, and he's been speaking about his lack of game time at Rangers since Barry took over. He said, "It's true that with the changes made to the management at my club, I've had fewer minutes. I started the first 6 months well at Rangers, but that's part of football. I'm always ready, and I've always trained hard. It's normal that there is traffic when it comes to being a starter in football. The competition is great at Rangers, so every player gives their best in training, and the manager will decide. We achieved a great victory to eliminate Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahce in Europe. It gave us huge confidence, and that's what I bring to the national team. England are playing very well, but all the boys are ready. The Euros that were good, but it is in the past. We must look forward. Our ambition is to qualify for the World Cup. Yes, they're taking on England at Wembley tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets game time. I very much hope he does, and what will be Thomas Tuchel's first game in charge of England as well. But Bajrami's comments, no surprise there, really. He's just... He's not kicked the ball for me for some time, Chris. And we've said it before on videos. If Rangers can find a buyer for him, I think, in the summer, then I don't think many would be too unhappy if he was moved on.
I think if he can use this international break to play himself back into form, that would give him a better chance of getting a game for Rangers in the next few weeks. But for me, he's well down the pecking order now, regardless of... Also seen Barry, can he change the system up over the last couple of weeks, regardless of what formation Barry goes with. For me, Bajrami doesn't get in the side. There are better options ahead of him. There are players who should be ahead of him. I think when he first arrived, there were signs. He also scored early on in his career over in Malmo, and it looked like Rangers had a player on their hands. It looked like the number 10 search that had been ongoing for so long. We spoke about that quite a lot over the summer, and why Rangers needed to get that position right. There was a lot of faith and a lot of money put into Bajrami. It's not really been repaid. I think he has to go down. If you look back at all the players that were signed last summer, if you have to give them pass marks, I don't think Bajrami gets pass marks. His first season has not been good. It may be that another change of manager and perhaps another change of system gets the best out of him. Some may well give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think if a big enough offer comes in and Rangers can recoup enough of their fee that they paid for him, I think that's a deal that should be done. I've not seen enough to suggest that he's going to be a huge success at Rangers, but I say hopefully he can go away during this break, get as many minutes as possible. If he can come back and play himself into some kind of form at Rangers, that would be good. Hopefully, it then allows Rangers to then, recoup as much as they can over the course of the summer.
Yep. Right, before we wrap up, just a few things. First of all, big welcome to Blair. He says, first time being able to watch live. So great to hear, Blair, and thank you for tuning in on this Thursday morning. Alex Kelly says, what part of Hamilton are you from, Derek? Plenty of Rangers buses leave here to head to Ibrox. They certainly do, Alex. Little Wernick and Hill House is where I lived when I was in Hamilton for a good number of years. A great part of the world. And of course, our great leader, Barry Ferguson, hails from Hamilton as well. So, he's made of good stock. And Headkeeper with the point says, any update on Cortez, Derek? Well, he did play for the B team recently, didn't he? Was it last week or the week before against it was some English team? Who was it again? Luton Town or something like that? I can't quite remember. But he was one of a number of players who played. Got some minutes. He should be knocking on the door, you'd imagine, Chris, for when the team return to action next week.
You would hope so, because he has been missing for far too many games this season. Speaking about players that have not really worked this season, that the Cortez falls into that as well. It's not been the campaign that any part of that deal needed it to be. So hopefully he can get himself back fit. We really need to see over these 10 games that are left in the Premiership now. We really need to see what he's made of and what he can do. We really need to see it on a consistent basis. It's a big couple of weeks and a big couple of months coming up for Oscar Cortez, because if he doesn't show an awful lot in these next few weeks, we're going to get to the summer and people will quite readily write him off and say it's time to cut our losses. So I think his situation different from Bajrami. I think Bajrami has had enough chances, played a number of games. I think we know what we're going to get with him now. Cortez, people have not seen enough, certainly on a consistent basis. So he's got a big couple of months coming up.
He certainly does. Just a couple of points. Mandy says, Derry, I live 5 minutes from Little Wernick. I live in Etherwood. Great part of the world as well. Often paid a visit to Carrigan's across the road. Other pubs are available, of course, but many a good party enjoyed in there. And Billy says, went to Davy Cooper's funeral in Hill House, sneaked out of work. If you look at the footage of that sad day, the streets are lined with people paying their last respects to Davy Cooper. I think, is it tomorrow, or it's the anniversary of his sad passing, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
We have a piece on the site over the weekend. Again, I'm giving someone else a plug for their work here, but Martin Ramsey has written a tribute to Coop, and that'll be on the site over the course of the weekend to mark that anniversary. So definitely one for people to look out for. Martin's also done some great work for us, and obviously on his books as well. Knows his Rangers history, and certainly knows his Rangers players. So definitely worth a look out for that piece on the site over the weekend.
Yep, couldn't say it better myself. Right, that'll do us there, folks. Thanks again. Well, first of all, to Chris and to you all for tuning in and contributing to the show as ever. It is very much appreciated. I'll be back on tomorrow morning with Stevie, so we can join us for that, 9:30 or thereabouts, if I manage to get on time. But thanks again. Enjoy your Thursday, and we'll speak to you later on. Bye for now.